Olivia was a 35-year-old woman living in a small town in Ohio in 2023. She had long, beautiful blonde hair that came down to her mid-back. Olivia took great pride in caring for her hair, and keeping it looking shiny and healthy. The government had recently passed a new law requiring all citizens over the age of 20 to keep their hair above their ears and collars. The reasoning was to promote uniformity, professionalism, and hygiene. Many people were upset about this new rule, feeling it was a violation of their personal freedom. Olivia in particular was devastated when she heard about the mandatory hair cutting law. She could not imagine cutting off her lovely locks that she had been growing out for over 15 years. She decided she would not comply. The deadline arrived for people to get their hair cut to the new required length. Olivia refused to go to a barber shop and have her hair shorn. A few days later, 2 government agents showed up at Olivia's door. "Ma'am, you did not get your hair cut to regulation length by the required date," one agent stated sternly. "You must come with us now to get your hair cut." Olivia began screaming and crying, yelling that they could not force her to cut her hair. The agents were unmoved. They handcuffed Olivia and dragged her out to their van, her hair flying wildly as she struggled. At the government haircutting facility, Olivia was strapped into a chair and a cape was fastened around her neck. "No, please, don't do this," she sobbed. The barber took out his scissors and cut her hair, and began hacking off chunks of Olivia's hair. She wailed and thrashed against the restraints. The barber kept cutting methodically until Olivia's hair was cropped close to her scalp. Olivia was inconsolable, tears streaming down her face at the loss of her beautiful hair. The barber showed her the back of her head in the mirror. Her hair was less than an inch long all over. "This will be so much easier to take care of," the barber declared. Olivia was released and went home, running her hands over the bristly remains of her hair and crying. As she looked in the mirror, she realized the barber had cut her hair unevenly in places. Tufts stuck out at odd angles, making her look disheveled. The next day, 2 government agents returned to Olivia's home to inspect her haircut. Seeing the uneven choppy cut, one agent said sternly, "This haircut is unsatisfactory. The length is correct, but the cut is sloppy. Go to a barber immediately to fix this mess." Olivia protested, saying she would not let anyone else cut her hair after what had already been done to it. The agent replied firmly, "You have no choice. You are required to keep your hair evenly trimmed at the proper length. Go get this fixed today, or there will be consequences." On the way to the barber, Olivia's mind raced with fear about having her hair cut again. When she arrived, the shop was packed with other men and women also, there to get their hair trimmed to comply with the new laws. Olivia was overwhelmed with dread, seeing the barbers busily shearing off hair into piles on the floor. She stood frozen in the doorway, unable to speak or move. The head barber called out, "Next." Olivia hesitantly stepped forward and sat in the empty chair, hyperventilating and shaking with anxiety. The barber fastened the cape around her and said gruffly, "How much do you need taken off?" Olivia just stared at him wide-eyed, too terrified to respond. "Hey lady, how short do you need this?" the barber demanded. Olivia stammered. Just trim it to be even please." The barber began combing through her hair brusquely. Olivia blurted out, "Please be gentle. My hair is very precious to me." Ignoring her plea, the barber took up his shears and started hacking away aggressively. Olivia squeezed her eyes shut, whimpering as she felt chunks of her hair falling onto her cape. After a few minutes of chopping with the shears, the barber stopped and said gruffly, "This hair is too far gone to fix with shears. I'm just going to shave it off with the clippers." Olivia's eyes shot open in alarm. "No. Please. You can't shave my head," she cried. The barber firmly pushed her head down and said sternly, "There's no fixing this mess. I'm shaving you strictly to the scalp, whether you like it or not." He plugged in the buzzing clippers and placed them at Olivia's forehead. She wailed in despair as she felt the cold metal teeth grind across her skin, mowing off what remained of her hair in unfaltering passes. Olivia sat there helpless, sobbing quietly as the detached locks tumbled down onto her cape and shoulders. After a few minutes, the barber turned off the clippers and spun her chair to face the mirror. Olivia saw only a pale, naked scalp staring back at her. Stripped of the last of her hair, she was now just another drone with a forced buzz cut. "That'll be easier to maintain," The barber remarked indifferently at his handiwork. Olivia left the shop broken, clinging to the last shredded remains of her dignity. She walked home with her head down, avoiding making eye contact with anyone. On the way, she passed other women also leaving barber shops, salons, and government haircutting facilities. Some had the same bald look as Olivia, running their hands over their smooth shorn scalps. Others had short pixie cuts, though none had hair longer than an inch or two. Olivia could hear soft crying and sniffling from some of the women as they emerged from their forced haircuts. A few consoled each other, sharing in the grief of their lost locks. One young woman spotted Olivia and gave her a look of empathy and understanding. In silence, they acknowledged their shared experience of having their hair and identities stripped away in service of the new laws. When Olivia arrived home, she avoided mirrors, not ready to confront her bare scalp again. She curled up on her bed and sobbed, mourning the loss of her hair, though she had complied. A piece of her spirit had been broken by the cruel laws that now govern women's hair. The next morning, Olivia was awoken by loud knocking at her door. 2 government agents had arrived for one of their frequent hair inspections. When Olivia opened the door, the agents burst in forcefully. Seeing her bald head, they shouted, "What is this?" and laughed mockingly at her sheared scalp. No. One agent growled, "Your hair was uneven, but we never authorized you to shave it all off." The other agent said sternly while glaring at Olivia, "This extreme haircut is unacceptable. From now on, you will strictly maintain this bald look we see before us. Please report to the government barber every 3 days for a clipper shave to keep your head smooth," the first agent ordered. "Do not let even a hint of stubble appear, or there will be severe penalties." Olivia wanted to fall to her knees and beg the agents not to force her to stay bald. But she knew it would be to no avail. They had no mercy or sympathy for her plight. As the agents turned to leave, she tried one last, desperate plea. "Please, isn't a pixie cut short enough? Can I at least have a faint layer of stubble instead of being completely bare?" The agents spun around and barked sharply. "Do not question the mandate. You have no rights when it comes to your hair. You will obey and accept your baldness graciously or suffer harsher punishments." Olivia's eyes filled with tears as the door slammed shut behind them. She had no choice but to resign herself to the lifelong sentence of regular clipper shaves. Never again would she feel the soft locks of hair framing her face or brushing against her neck. In her mind, Olivia begged the agents to reconsider and show even a hint of compassion. But deep down, she knew it was hopeless. Her begging would only lead to more scorn and suffering at the hands of the cruel hair laws.